the throb of the pulse of Am Yisrael reverberates loudly through this room. Because talk is cheap. Talk is easy. What you experience in this room is people who talk the talk and walk the walk. There is a secret that the people of Israel are looking that needs to be shared. It is a secret that is clear to those in this room. Ever since I got to know Avi Fishoff a bunch of years ago and we learned Chavrusa together, we were learning Tanya together. And then I saw that the theory is something that he was able to take and bring into practice. And to be able to actually help in real time, when push comes to shove, to be able to make a real change. The secret that needs to be shared is the practical rendition of what it means to be a Yid. This past Rosh Hashanah, I was in Shul, walking out of Shul. It was about 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm walking out of Shul, minyan's over, everything's done, even the mincha was done. And I was walking with the Gabba, coming out of Shul. As I walk out, we had paid NYPD detail, looking after, guarding the Shul, wearing full uniform. I'm not sure why, but the NYPD had, in order to pay them, you came in 6-hour increments. So the first cop was there from 8:30 to 2:30 when the minyan was full. And then 2:30, there was another guy who was coming to guard the Shul for mincha, which was 6 p.m. And there aren't that many people in mincha. I don't know why we had to get a cop for that. But as I walked out, there were 2 policemen standing over there. What do you say when you meet a cop and he's guarding the Shul? I walked to the Gabba. I said politely, "Thank you, officers, for protecting us." And as I walk down the block, my Gabba looks at me. We live in Flatbush, right? Just that. Looks at me and he says, "Rabbi, something's wrong. That wasn't like you." I said, "What did I do wrong?" He says, "You walked past the cops." I said, "Yeah." I said, "Thank you." I said, "Rabbi, I know you long enough. You were supposed to say, 'Excuse me, are you Jewish?'" I said, "My bad. I'm going back." He says, "No, Rabbi, I got your back. I'll do it." He goes back down the block. I'm standing waiting at the end on Avenue N. And he comes in front of the cops, and I look from far and I say, that guy may be Jewish. The other guy, nah, no chance. So he asked the cops, the guy who was there in the morning, "Jewish?" "Nope, nothing at all." The guy who looked like he was from our cousins, on his badge was the name Ibrahim. He says, "I'm not Jewish, but my mother is." He says, "Rabbi, I think you got some work here." I come down, I look, I see these 2 officers, and I said, "Ibrahim, if your mother's Jewish, you're Jewish." He says, "I'm not Jewish. I come from Azerbaijan." He says, "I came when I was 14 years old. My mother lives in Bensonhurst. She's Jewish. She doesn't practice anything. She told us she's Jewish, but I'm Muslim. I don't do anything." I said, "Listen, you're Jewish. Like it, you don't like it. And today is the New Year, Rosh Hashanah. There's a thing to do, right? You got to hear the ram's horn. We're going to blow." I said, "Come with me. Let's blow the ram's horn." He said, "Sure." We come into the shul, just me and him. Nobody's around. I'm standing by the bimah. I'm taking a Yid, a 34-year-old Yid, and I'm standing over there, He stands by the bima and I pull out the ram's horn. He says, just explain to me what we're doing now. Have you ever explained Tkiyas Shofar to a Jew who's never in his life heard about Tkiyas Shofar? We're so used to the blowing of the shofar, we don't even notice what we're doing. I say, basically, God wants to become the king. He wants to be relevant to us in our lives. He wants to be connected to you. He wants you to recognize him. And when you blow the ram's horn, you're crowning him as king. He says, well, I blew the shofar, I made the brachas, I blew. The guy listened and I watched a yid, his face. His neshama started to shine. When you hear Tkiyas Shofar on Rosh Hashanah, something changes inside every Jew, but when you hear it the first time in your life, his neshama was on fire. And I saw the guy was inspired at the end of Tkiyas Shofar. I said, Ibrahim, you know, in my house now we have a meal. It's like just eat food, but it's really nice. And it's a festive meal. Maybe you want to join us. He says, come on, I'm working. You know, I'm full uniform, I'm working. I'm like, 1 second, you're working for me. We're paying you. He says, but I have to guard the synagogue. I said, listen, the synagogue's empty now. Very dangerous these days in New York. And the rabbi's house is a top target. So the rabbi needs protection. A lot of guests there, please. He says, okay. So I'm walking down the street, me and a cop next to me. On the way, I stopped at one guy's house. We blew the shofar. He says, who's that? I said, my bodyguard. We come into the house and we go up the stairs. It took me a while to realize, you know, Americans, you have this Thanksgiving. Like, what's so special about Thanksgiving? When you keep Shabbos every week, you don't chap that Thanksgiving is the once a year when you have a Shabbos meal. And we do it every week, twice, at least. He comes up the steps, he walks into my house, he sees a big table, honey, wine, challah. It looked like a royal table. It really looks regal. And guests around the table, his mouth dropped. He looks, and I explained to him just a few Jewish words, Kiddush, sat down, we washed. At the table, he was enjoying himself. We were speaking and discussing. He sat for about an hour, and then he said, okay, I gotta go. I said, where are you going? I have to go protect the synagogue. He couldn't take it anymore. It was very interesting because he was the only one in uniform. Everyone else was in Yom Tov clothing. Before he left, I said, say grace after meals, 1 paragraph. He says, Rabbi, can I ask you a question? I said, sure. He said, no, privately. Took him to the kitchen. Just me and him in the kitchen. He says, Rabbi, let me ask you a question. I'm 34 years old. My wife is Jewish just because, you know, it happened to be that way. I practice nothing in Judaism. When he was at the table, I told him, you know, just want to put it out there. At the last time, there was a cop. He came outside my shul, and someone had told me the day before he was Jewish. He was giving a ticket to a frum guy. I said to them, I said, I want you to know that I pulled him in to be at center. 3 years later, at 36 years old, he had a bris. He said, okay, I had a bris when I was born, and I put on tefillin once. Those are my 2 Jewish things. He looks at me, Ibrahim, and he says, I'm a Jew. I don't keep anything. He didn't know what Yom Kippur was. He'd never in his life fasted on Yom Kippur. He had had absolutely zero connection. That day, his soul was ignited because when a Yid hears shofar, something changes inside of him. He heard the shofar and he sat at a Yom Tov meal. And I saw this neshama on fire. He says, Rabbi, do you think that God is angry at me? Do you think he's frustrated? Is he disappointed? Am I going to go to hell because I didn't keep Judaism? I looked at this guy, young, beautiful Jewish face, and I said to him, I davened to Hashem first. Because sometimes you need Hashem's help, and you realize, Almighty God, just help me say the right words. And I said to him, listen, my friend, I want to tell you something. Yesterday, we have this thing, Tashlich, we go to the sea, the ocean. So I went to the ocean nearby. I said, on my way to the ocean, my little baby was with me. And when we left, she fell asleep. She's 1 year old. When she fell asleep, there was, Brooklyn has this beautiful, stunning view. The houses are just magnificent. And all she could see was claustrophobia all around her. And 45 minutes later, she woke up and we were by the ocean. And this 1 year old baby, I said, she woke up. And you should have seen the face of a 1 year old who woke up, went to sleep in Brooklyn and woke up by the ocean. She jumped. She looked so delightful. Her face was shining bright. And when she woke up, she was so excited. I looked at that kid and I said, I'm going to go to Tashlich every day to get that face. I said, Ibrahim, today in the prayers on Rosh Hashanah, you know what we said? That the Navi says, Yirmiyahu, Havein yakir li Ephraim, im yeled sha'ashuim. You want to know what a Jew is to me? Ephraim is a dear, precious child. He's delightful. Kimite dabri boy, whenever I speak about him, Zocher as Kerenu oid, I remember him, Alkein homu meyailoi, my intestines, my kishkes are chalishing for this kid. You know what Hashem thinks of a Jew? He thinks of him that he's his own precious child, like that little 1 year old baby who wakes up and a delightful child. He doesn't care. The first Rashi in the Torah reiterates the point. Beis Reishis bara elikim es hashamayim ve'es ha'aretz b'shvil Yisrael u'b'shvil ha'Torah. It doesn't say for Yisrael who keep Torah. It says b'shvil Yisrael, separate b'shvil ha'Torah. God didn't make the world for Jews who keep Torah. He made it for Jews. God doesn't love you, Ibrahim, because of anything you do. He doesn't care what you do. He loves you because you are Havein Yakir Li Ephraim. Precious, dear, beautiful, delightful child. And he chalishes for you. And he loves you more than anything else in the world. If you want to love him back, if you decide that, there's a good way to do through Torah and mitzvahs. But his love for you is not hinged on anything you do or don't do. Ibrahim walked out and I realized that I had learned from him the greatest secret known to Klal Yisrael. The secret is that what we do belies what we are. What we are is Heilige Yidden. Every single person in this room gets that secret. The secret that our children will bring us the biggest nachas when we're able to tell them, we don't love you because of anything you do. We love you because you are. And when I realize what you are, I know you want to be the best. And that energy, that secret from this room should be unleashed to the world at large, because it's the secret that the world needs for Geula. Good Vach.